It's laid out.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, this is a very, very important bill to some folks in Texas and the cosmetology industry. They have concerns about
House will come to order. Members, please take your seats.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, again, this is about the cosmetology industry. We have a situation in Texas, and it's just a rampant problem, unfortunately. We've heard a lot about deregulation. We've heard a lot about the idea of getting rid of barber schools, getting rid of cosmetology schools. I think Representative Goldman had an excellent bill on the African hair weaving. And it was a wonderful bill that really solved a problem for us. We've heard about a lawsuit not too long ago that was filed by an individual, and it went to the Supreme Court, which caused Representative Goldman such concern that he went to the aid of all of the African hair weavers and deregulated them, which I was very much in support of that bill. I believe I signed on to it. Well, I think I'm a joint author on that. And so we were able to deregulate that from the cosmetology world. Very recently, you had Chairman Smith talk to us about the eyebrow weavers, which Representative Lozano, I believe, goes to for his eyebrows. And what they do, maybe Representative Wally as well, what they do is they weave your eyebrows in such a way that makes them thicker or thinner. And in this sense, what has happened is there has been a movement to deregulate some facets of the cosmetology world, including shampooing. We've gotten rid of, I believe we had a bill that says that we are no longer going to shampoo or train someone to shampoo hair because we required them to do 1,500 hours of a cosmetology class to shampoo someone's hair, which is certainly a travesty to have someone do that. And so what we have here today, and I know a lot of you in the House want deregulation, but it concerns me to a great degree to say that we want to have the kinds of diseases that can be spread by barbers and hairstylists that don't quite know what they're doing, that don't quite have the training that is necessary to be able to effectuate the right kind of technique that is required in cutting hair, the right kind of sanitary necessities that are important, the tools, the instruments. It's not just scissors. It's not just scissors. We have required in the past these, I think they're called motor graders or something like that, these devices where people put the scissors in to heat them up in order to prevent this unsanitary problem.
Representative Canales.
Would the gentleman yield for some questions?
Gentleman yield.
I will yield for a question, yes.
Gentleman yields.
Representative Gutierrez, one of the things that we experience a lot in South Texas, and we know is there's a great amount of people in South Texas that have diabetes. And one of the things that we see is there's a lot of nail salons and people that do manicures and pedicures, but especially pedicures, on diabetic people that cause problems. This is a serious case because after that happens, they have wound care because the tools were dirty, because they weren't up to specs. And I think that would you be opposed to maybe in South Texas an amendment that said that where areas of high amounts of diabetes where nail technicians might be required to have some sort of extra training deal with diabetic feet?
You're absolutely right. And what these schools do is that they require a significant amount of time to the concerns of those particular diseases. When you're cutting a nail on a diabetic, you have to have extra special care because and folks with other types of diseases. I mean, you can cause some really big problems. As a matter of fact, many diabetics don't even go to the nail salon.
Are you aware of people that actually, and because I am, in my district, in areas of South Texas, where people have actually gotten foot infections and have amputations resulting from diabetes?
Not just amputations, but I'll tell you there are some diseases that come from the hair follicles. Like you've had an ingrown hair, I imagine. You have such nice hair, Representative, that I'm sure every now and then you get a little ingrown hair in the back of your neck.
No, sir. But
you've never had that. Okay.
I know what an ingrown hair is, but I've never had one.
Okay, you'd be surprised how damaging an ingrown hair could be to your skin. How damaging.
Would you be opposed to an amendment that for areas where there's a high incident of diabetes, where we could actually increase the amount of knowledge and or training for people using or working on feet? Because that's the problem, is people getting cut or having some sort of. Would you be opposed to an amendment like that?
I would absolutely not be opposed to an amendment. As a matter of fact, I believe Representative Hernandez also has an amendment for nail techs, because this is a really big concern that's happening right now. We have Vietnamese women that are being used in human trafficking schemes.
That's correct.
In the state of Louisiana, human trafficking is rampant, and I believe that in our colleges, and her amendment seeks to add additional class hours to make sure that schools understand that human trafficking will not be allowed in the state of Texas.
Are you going to be willing to accept her amendment?
I think that we should have some significant debate about it, but
sure.
Yeah, I'm concerned as to how many hours she wants. I think that she wants over 100 hours, and I have some significant concerns about that.
Well, I'm going to draft one regarding diabetes, if you'll bear with me.
Very good. We have an amendment coming. No, there's no amendment. There's no amendment. You have an amendment? Where's your amendment?
Following amendment, the clerk will read the amendment.
Do I have an amendment on this bill? I should.
Amendment by Rinaldi.
Chair recognizes Representative Rinaldi.
I withdraw the amendment.
The Rinaldi amendment is withdrawn. Following amendment, the clerk will read the amendment.
Amendment by Schaefer.
Chair recognizes Representative Schaefer.
Okay, members, Mr. Speaker, members, this amendment would allow a barber school to not be regulated by its square footage, but only by health and safety standards. Right now, there's some archaic provisions in the barber school statute which prohibits a small, less than 2,000 square feet barber school. So this would allow someone to have 2 or 3 chairs and teach a smaller number of students. Basically, when the statute was written, it made it so that only big schools could be in existence. This amendment allows health and safety standards to be regulated, but not the square footage or the number of chairs and sinks.
Representative Gutierrez, for what purpose?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative, you and I have had significant discussions about this amendment.
Does gentleman yield?
I'll yield for some questions.
Gentleman yields for some questions.
I have a significant concern about this amendment, Representative. You and I have talked about this, haven't we?
We have.
And I believe that we were able to help out Representative Rinaldi in his amendment the other day, which helped the barbers in his community, so that with the requisite amount of time and experience, a barber in a small town wouldn't have to go out and set up this school. Do you remember Representative Rinaldi's amendment?
I do, but that's not relative to my amendment.
Okay, so what is your concern when we solve the problem for the little guys? Because you're concerned about the little guys. Is that not correct?
That's correct.
When we solve that problem with Representative Rinaldi's amendment saying that a barber can go out and teach in his barber shop, what is your significant concern with that? I don't.
I want to make sure that the part of the statute that regulates square footage, the number of chairs, the number of sinks, is removed so that it's very clear to people that want to actually go instruct that they don't have to be regulated based on the square footage, but only on health and safety standards.
Representative Schaefer, here's my big concern here. Here's my question. Representative Schaefer.
I'm listening.
I'll let you interact with your colleague there.
I'm listening.
Okay. My concern, Representative Schaefer, is this. What about when you have a guy that wants to teach cosmetology out of his garage?
If the department comes and inspects and he has passed all the health and safety standards, then the agency will be able to regulate that.
Okay. And so, Representative Schaefer, I'm sorry. We asked you a question. Under your scenario, somebody can set up a school in their garage. Is that true?
I answered the question.
Yes or no?
The answer to the question is that it's going to be required to meet all health and safety standards by the agency. So
Okay.
it'll be up to the agency to determine whether the facility is up to standard. But you're not going to do that just purely on the size, because the size does not have a direct relation to whether they're doing a good job or whether they're doing so in a healthy.
So it's your opinion the size doesn't matter?
Representative, I have a serious amendment here, and that's what we're trying to do.
Okay. So you understand that the health and safety concerns of this agency have been around for the last 10, 15, 20 years and beyond for the health and safety and well-being of all Texans. And the only reason that there is a size requirement is because there is an inference that because of that requirement, we are going to bring in providers that are going to have the adequate number of chairs, the adequate number of tools and equipment that is necessary to be able to provide the health and safety standards. And you can't simply do that in someone's 100 square foot garage or 200 square foot garage, to be fair.
Is that a question?
You do understand that or not?
That's a commentary. That's not a question. I'm not
What
sure
was
what
the question?
you're
Do you
asking.
understand that or not?
I understand that we have no business as the state of Texas telling a barber instructor how many chairs they have to have. What
Can
we have a
someone
business,
teach-
let me finish. What we have an interest in is the health and safety standards. We don't have an interest as a state in purely the number of chairs or the number of sinks. It's not relevant.
Can someone teach cosmetology in a 100 square foot office? That's a question.
The cities can regulate zoning. They can say where a commercial interest can be and where it can't, where it's residential and where it's commercial. So there's a lot of things that mitigate in favor of these things being done in the proper place. But we've got to the point where we just have allowed big barber schools to dominate the market and not allow other people to get into the business. It's the big dogs have come down here with lobbyists and they've run over the little dogs.
Well, Representative Schaefer, my question has nothing to do with zoning. I'm asking you, can the health and safety concerns of this industry be addressed in a 100 square foot building? And it has nothing to do with zoning in cities and whatnot. You're not a cosmetologist, are you?
What's your question?
Can the health and safety concerns of this industry be addressed in a 100 square foot room?
The agency is going to have the authority under this amendment to establish standards for the health and safety, except for square footage, and that is clear that they can do so.
If you read my committee substitute, Representative, my committee substitute allows for what you want to do. It keeps the minimum square footage, but allows the agency.
Okay, why does it do that? Why does it say 2,000 square
Hey,
feet?
read the committee substitute, man. I don't have to do your work for you.
Why does it keep a minimum square
It
footage?
keeps the minimum square footage and allows the agency
Why?
to make and address your concerns on a case-by-case basis.
Why does it have any minimum square
Because,
footage?
quite frankly, Representative, you cannot teach cosmetology in a 100-square-foot building. You cannot teach cosmetology in a 200-square-foot building. It is simply impossible to do because of the type equipment that is necessary for this industry. And for you to simply come out and whitewash all of that and take an agency that has been regulating these folks for a substantial period of time and say, all of a sudden, just go poof. And so what we did, just for you, what we did was we created a committee substitute that has what you want in it. It has what you want in it on a case-by-case basis. It is absolutely what you want.
I move passage.
Chair recognizes Representative Gutierrez to speak against the Schaefer amendment.
We have like 5 other amendments.
Chair recognizes Representative Gutierrez for a motion.
Members, out of a real concern for the calendar and all of your important bills, and the 5 or 6 amendments that are coming down the road on this very important cosmetology piece, because I've got some colleagues that want to talk about human trafficking and diabetes and a million other things, I would like to move to postpone House Bill 3325 to a time certain at 7 p.m. this evening. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate your consideration.
Members, you've heard the motion. Is there any objection? Chair hears none, so ordered. Members, we are moving on to the major state calendar. Chair lays out on second reading House Bill 1798. That's on page 6 of your calendar. Chair recognizes Representative Deschanel. Oh, hold on. Following bill, the clerk will read the bill.
HB 1798 by Desautel relating to local controlled school districts.
Chair recognizes